Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to see you here on our webinar from Beetroot Academy. This is the last webinar in this year, and it's dedicated to the job interview. Today, I'm Varvara, PR manager of Beetroot Academy, and I will be moderating this webinar. And I'm glad to introduce Kate, who will be the speaker and our guest star.
Hi there.
First of all, I want to ask you, all the listeners, to type something in our live chat so we will be sure that you hear and see us well, and we don't have any problems with our stream. And I will start with a little bit organizational questions. The recordings of this webinar will be available tomorrow. And also all the registered participants will get the link to the recordings on the email. Also, we have a lot of questions actually in our Google form, and I will ask Kate after she finishes her presentation. And if something is not clear for you, feel free to type these questions into our live chat. I will be looking through it through the whole webinar, and I will ask Kate also. Actually, I guess we can start. Everything is gathered here. So, Kate, please. Welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you a lot. Hello, guys. I do believe that it's different time of the day for you. So here in Kiev, now it's in evening time. Where are you from right now? Would you please let me know in the chat? I'm just interested, where is it the latest or the earliest right now? Barbara, would you help me with that?
We see Ukraine now, Poland, like different cities from Ukraine, Croatia also is here.
Oh, cool.
In Germany.
Okay, so it's not such a big time difference in there. All right, not bad at all. So let us most probably start with the very, very simple question. How many job interviews have you had? Just give me the number.
Let's see. It just sounds for some previous question, Bulgaria and Finland.
Oh, wow, cool.
Zero.
Hi, guys.
Zero, 2 job interviews.
Oh, wow, good.
So none, 5.
Like, while you're answering, I'll just let you know how many I have had. Like those interviews that I was passing and that I had to pass to like get some work. It was sort of 20, I suppose, maybe a bit more throughout my career. And I'm not talking about like tiny, not even interviews, but tiny negotiations. I'm more talking about the interviews in general. However, the current situation says that it's more likely to be minimum 5 job interviews to get any job. So if you do not get a job from the first or the second time, it doesn't mean that you do not get the job at all. I hope you know that. So which numbers do we have?
0 to 5, mostly 2. Like.
Oh, okay. So it means that you have tried. Okay. All right. So I will start my presentation then. Just a second. Let me open it first. Here it is. All right, so in here you most probably have to see everything. Do you?
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, yes, thanks. So let us start. I believe that every speaker starts with telling you who the speaker is. So my name's Kate. I'm Ukrainian. I'm now located in Kiev, Ukraine. We're now suffering from constant blackouts, but it doesn't matter, actually. Some people say that we're surviving. We're not. We live, we're alive, we donate, we care, we work, we run the businesses. So we are going to live many, many years more. I'm a professional speaker. I've been taking part in so many IT conferences throughout like 10 years, 12 years. And I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy sharing knowledge. I enjoy talking to people. And even though now I have a quite an interesting position, I'm a chief operating officer in an Israeli company, IT company. I still feel that the trainer inside of me, there is a piece, a tiny piece that says, "Come on, we need a training. We need some webinar." So here I am doing what I like. At the same time, sort of 6 or 7 years ago, I founded an IT English school here in Ukraine. We are now dealing only with the IT professionals and teaching them English. I'd say that we are the only school that has a real IT knowledge because I've been working in IT for more than 10 years already, and my teachers have been working in IT or they have had some experience with the IT teams. So I should really say that we know what we are doing. So we are now working with the IT professionals and those who want to become IT professionals to pass the interviews, to do the everyday stuff in English and so on. So we do what we know, and we do what I know, because IT stuff in English is something that I know. So we are called KIT. There is a huge story behind the name. I would not tell it to you right now because it takes lots of time. But this is what we do. Mainly the thing is that we have one-to-one classes, no group classes at all. Like this is our main strengths, I should say, right? All the classes are individual, and we build an individual program for each student. So someone comes with their needs, with their deadlines. Like some of the people say, okay, I just want to make sure that I speak clearly during my Scrum meetings. And we're like, oh, okay, we know how to do that. Or some come with the words like, I need to pass an interview. So we prepare lots of stuff, and we actually take care of the person so that the person would be passing the interview successfully. We have a very flexible schedule because we have people who study in our school from Portugal, and some Ukrainians and non-native speakers in the US. So we have very flexible timing. And as I said, we have a real experience in IT because at least I have worked in IT for like very many years, and I have passed a lot of interviews, negotiations, calls, meetings, and so on. So I really know what it is, how it works, which phrases and words you might need, and so on. And it says that we have had more than 1,000 students. It's actually a lie because we have had a bit more that I'm really very proud of. So now I'm going to talk to you about the interviews, not only as a teacher, not only as an English teacher or a business trainer, but also as the chief operating officer who from time to time is taking part in interesting interviews when we are hiring people. And I hear people, what they are saying, I hear everything, and I can actually let you know what is right and what is wrong. Before I do that, now in my IT school, we are having a special offer. You can scan the QR code, and you can see the like special pricing for our IT classes and for the interview preparation in English. This is our strength for sure. We know how to do it. We have been doing it for many years already. And those who would be passing this course, like from the Beetroot Academy or from the webinar, would have a sort of session with me where I would be asking you some questions and you would be answering me, and I will let you know whether you are ready for the job interview or not. So believe me, that would be fair. All right. So this is quite a time to start the journey. So an interview journey. The very first question, before even passing any interview at all, before even thinking of going and taking part in an interview at all, that would be, what am I looking for right now? Which job, which position, or which company, which values, which criterion, anything that I'm looking for right now. I'd rather think in my native language about that. Like, you have to understand the answer to the question before doing anything else, because this is the basis. Most probably some of the junior developers or the trainees would say, okay, any job at all, right? It might be fair up to the point where when you get any job at all. And when you see that the values and the deadlines and the people who work there, they just don't meet your expectations. So before you actually go and take part in any interview, think of what do you want. If you can't think of what you don't want, think of your personal no-goes. Like, what is the company that you wouldn't be working with, or the team that you wouldn't be working with, or the schedule, or the overtimes, or I don't know, the time zone difference, because it appears that, I don't know, more than half of the team works from the US, let's say, and you'll have to work, 12 hours a day just to be able to communicate with everyone. What is your personal no-go? So that you would easily identify it while having the interviews. So very first step we have already discussed. There is the second step. If you already know what you know, what you want, if you already know what you want, and you already have checked the websites with the job descriptions, so you have found the job description that you think like, oh my God, this is the one. Then you form your CV, and I mean it. So only after you have read a job description of the job of your dream and you think like, that's the one, and I really would love to work here, only then you open your CV and you check whether it fits to the position that you do. I know it's not a secret that for each position you send your CV to. Do you hear me well?
Kate, I'm sorry. Yes, we have some troubles with your connection, but now it's okay. Just could you please repeat what you've told?
What, I don't know where I have broken. So what have you heard last?
Last sentence, last paragraph.
Okay, let me come back to what I was saying. Sorry. So once you have found a job description and you feel like that this is the job of my dream, this is the one, then you open your CV and you actually take a very good look at whether the CV matches to the job description. Every time you send the CV, you have to make sure that it matches. So every time it might be a bit different CV. I'm not telling that you have to lie all the time. There is no sense. But in different job descriptions, different things are highlighted. Some of the companies want people to be proactive and know, I don't know, Jira. Some of the companies want people to be, I don't know, self-motivated or world team players and know Asana, whatever. So you might know both, but you wouldn't write everything about it. You might be both a team player or a self-motivated person or eager to learn. But if you don't write it, the recruiter might just not find it over there. Or if there is too much information in your CV, and the recruiter wouldn't be able to identify and to highlight the most important things that is important for them, for the particular company. So my advice is to tailor the CV to each job description. Basically, this is what I did, and this is what many students of mine do. Do not send the same template to everyone, because they wouldn't be able to identify the most important things from that CV that are important for a particular company. I mean, these are just the CVs that I find like very interesting. What I find interesting in this CV is that it's divided into very strict pieces, like 1 to 3, with the core skills, with career summary, key responsibilities, and key achievements. Take a quick look at the key achievements in here. So I understand that if you do not have much experience, there is not much that you can mention, but there always is something that you're good at. Even if you have just finished like courses, and if you have just like got your courses certificate, you can say how much time did it take for you to learn something, or you can say how many hours have you been dealing with something, or how many hours you've spent for this or that project. Think of the key cool things that you have done so far. I believe there is something, like there has to be something, because if there is nothing, you wouldn't be as motivated as you are to be doing it more and more. So think of like a few key achievements, and you can be sure that you will be asked about those key achievements during an interview if you basically insert the information here. But it would show and highlight you out of the other candidates that the recruiters would see. That's a promise. Here are a few more CVs. I know that the presentation would be shared, right? So here are just a few more CVs that I would like you to take a closer look to. So like the phrases in here, we'll give you the phrases actually like with a list, but you can take a look at them just right now. Overseeing throughout the area, just very beautiful expressions. Assisted in developing, worked closely with clients, responsible for like reviewing or whatever. Worked close with the team members, determined areas, and so on. So this is a very nice vocabulary for your CV. You can simply copy and paste it to yours. But again, taking into account the job description that you see in front of you, that you would be using before sending the CV and before applying. Okay, that's very important. Speaking of those who did not have a lot of interviews so far, I should most probably tell you about the interview stages that are there in like mainly in the IT companies. So the very first interview, it might take from 15 minutes to maybe 45, would be the interview with a recruiter or HR. They would be checking whether what you are saying during the interview is actually true and whether it corresponds with the CV that you've sent. So do not lie in there. Like if there is some tiny piece of lie, you have to know about it, remember about it, not to be caught. So just don't do it, or do it just in a very tiny way. That would be the very first thing. During this interview, most probably your English will be tested. At least like a question or two would be asked in English, just to know, just to evaluate and to know which English level you have. Further on, I will let you know like the
Sorry. I guess we have some troubles with connection again.
Let me
start from the beginning of the sentence because
let me switch to another internet. Okay.
You could try, yes. I can see you.
Okay. Now, how do you hear me?
I hear you. Yes, and
Okay.
now
Let's
it's
see how it works, because there are like total blackouts in Kiev, and I have now the Starlink connection on. Sometimes it works very well. Sometimes it's just looking for the new satellite, and it might like take a pause. Let's see how it goes. Okay. All right. Let's move on. So yeah, I was talking about the international companies and the interviews, and how many stages they have. So the very first stage, as I said, was a stage with the recruiter, where the recruiter would most probably ask you some questions to make sure that your CV actually is the CV of the person that is present on the interview. So they would correlate whether you really have that experience or not. They would ask you a few questions that are the most important for them as for the company. And then most probably you'll get some English questions, like just to get your level, just to understand whether you understand what is going on, and so on. That's if the whole interview is not in English, I mean, of course. Yeah. And if everything goes fine during that stage, that takes around like 15 or maybe 45 minutes, up to 45 minutes, there goes then the technical stage. So at the technical stage, you would get more technical questions. You might get some live coding task. You have to ask the recruiter during the first stage whether you're going to have any live coding, so that you would be prepared and so that you would have the required environment. So make sure that you know in particular what is going to happen during the technical stage, all right? So the technical stage goes on, and it might take like an hour or an hour and a half. During that stage, a team lead or a senior developer from the team would be asking you some technical questions, giving you some some situations or cases to think about, and they would be listening to what you think about it. What I get from junior and from junior and middle actually developers is that if they don't know something, they simply say I don't know, and they wait until there is another question. I'm going to tell about it again and again during today's presentation. However, I don't know is not the phrase that you say during an interview. Even if you do not know, even if you have heard about this thing, whatever was asked for the very first time, you have to think, and you have to think out loud. Like, show them that you think. Even if you haven't worked with this, you can say, okay, I haven't worked with this. However, I have worked with this and that and that and that too. That would be the answer. But you don't say, I don't know. You can say, that's an interesting question. I have never seen that before. And this is the first thing that I'm going to do after we finish an interview, because it's very interesting. But it's still not, I don't know. Because if you simply say, I don't know, and you wait until another question comes, it shows that you're not interested even in the development, and that you're not interested in what is going on. So if you're not interested, why would they be? Sorry. Okay, so that was a very important thing. Yeah, let's move on. During the interview, let the interviewer know you will learn and how you would learn. This is what I advise to many junior developers and the trainees, that if there is something in job description that says that like you have to know this and that to apply, and you don't know it, and you haven't had a chance to read about it, why? If it's in the job description, you should have read about it, at least read. But You can say, like, yes, I have worked with this or that. I haven't worked with these. This is in my to-do list. I'm constantly learning, constantly growing. I know it's important. This is what I'm going to do. Why not? Excuse me, guys. Okay, excuse me. Let's move on. Yeah, so this is going basically to be the answer to your disadvantage question. So you would already know the like weak sides of yours, and you would be able to cover those weak sides with the card of this is what I am going to learn, or even when I'm going to learn it, whom I'm going to learn it with, which courses am I taking in a month, in 2 weeks, or whatever. Make sure that you tell that you are going to do it, even if you have no idea what this is. But again, as I told already, if you already have seen the job description and there was something that you have never dealt with, at least read about it to be able to handle the conversation properly. Okay. Okay. So we have found the job description and we are looking something. Yeah. What if the job description requires high English level? That's a question to you. So the job description of the job of your dream says excellent, excellent English. Let's say. What do you do? Option A, I don't apply for the position. And B, I would try.
Katya, sorry, you have to repeat A.
Okay.
First part.
So action A, I would not apply for the position because my English is not excellent. And B, I would apply and at least try. Would you answer, please? So which one would you choose? I would not apply if it requires an excellent English, or I would at least try with B.
Let me look through B.
Wow. Is there any A in there?
No, the only one is who is in doubt is a guy who told I really don't know. Everyone tells B, and I agree with them, actually.
Yeah, it makes lots of sense. Really, it does make lots of sense. Even if English is highly important and the team knows it and the recruiter knows it, everyone knows it. You have to be able to pass the request, but you are not excellent.
Kate, sorry, again troubles.
Okay.
Action. Yeah. Unfortunately, this would help.
Thank you for letting me know every time it happens, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know. But now it's fine.
Now it's okay, yes.
Okay. So here is something that I would advise answering. If the job description says, okay, you need to have a B2 English level, B2 is an upper intermediate. Some write it with letters like B2, B1, B1 plus, C1. So an upper intermediate level is a B2. Sometimes upper intermediate level can be referred as B1 plus. But B2 is like the most common thing. But you do not have the B2. That's what I would say. English is a highly important part of my job, and I understand it and I know it. I'm currently taking English classes with a tutor 2 times a week. At this particular moment, being a recruiter, I would think, okay, it would mean that within like 3 months of the probation period, the English level would change into a better way, of course. So currently my level is B1 plus or B1, whatever. B1 is an intermediate level. According to the certified teacher that I'm learning with, I put lots of effort into English. I do my best to upgrade it. Should there be anything that I do not understand, I will learn it and I am ready. So what would I, as a recruiter, understand from these words? I would understand that the person knows the downside of not having like the upper intermediate English, and the person is doing everything they can to improve it, which is a huge plus. I would say that putting lots of efforts into something means the person really knows what they want, and they are doing and they're motivated. That's huge. And the other thing is something that I pay attention to very often. Should there be anything I do not understand, I will learn it. I'm ready. The other thing is whether you would ask about it. So this is what I would actually add in here. If there is anything I do not understand, or if there is anything I just do not get from the first time, from the first glance, I will ask once again. Let them know about it. Let them know that you feel fine with that. Let them know that even if something at a specific moment, at a certain moment, you do not understand, you will absolutely ask about it once again. And there is no problem at all from your side to be asking questions. Mainly when I was working at EPAM or when I was working at Luxoft and we were dealing with the interns, this was something that differs an intern from a junior developer. The juniors, they already know that to do something, they have to ask out loud. They have to find a person who will be able to help them. They have to find a mentor. They have to find anyone who would answer their question because it's their job. Trainees, they still, from time to time, think that the answer just falls to their head at a certain period of time, maybe please, and they just sit, keep calm, and do nothing. So to show that you are a good junior who is actually ready to take part and who is actually ready and motivated to work, say it out loud that, yeah, it might happen that at certain point I just don't get something. I will ask straight away. I will clarify, and then I will manage to do everything I need to do. And of course, I am now currently taking classes and upgrading my level, because this is what you have to do if you have noticed that your level is insufficient. Like, it will not be done by itself. It even wouldn't be done once you start working in a company. Your English level as it is wouldn't grow dramatically. Your vocabulary might become a bit better because you hear the people talking, you hear what they are saying, but still the way you speak, the way you perform the language, the way you build a sentence would not dramatically like become better. So if at any point you understood that you need classes, you have to take classes. Better to do it now than in a year when you can't earn as much money as you want because of English. So if you understand it now, just do it now. It's much cheaper to do it now than to do it in a year. Okay. Another question. If you have prepared your CV according to the job description, you most probably have prepared some questions to the recruiter, because not only the recruiter during the first stage would be asking you some questions. You would also be. You have to be able to do it because it really matters. It shows that you are interested in the position, in the company, in the product. You're not just the person for whom it's like the town's interview today, and you don't care. Show that you do, because this is what the recruiter will remember, and it's the recruiter passes the CV down to the next stage, to the team lead or to the tech lead or to any senior developer who'll be interviewing after the recruiter. So make sure that recruiter understands that you are ready and that you are very much interested and motivated. For a particular position, write down some questions. Most usually people ask something about the team, like how many people are there in the team? Is this an agile team? If it's an intern or if it's a junior position, then you most probably have to ask about a mentor who'll be mentoring you. What does this person do? Has this person had any mentees, and so on? What would be your probation period? How much time would it take? Would you have an HR, a point of contact, who you could be talking to when you do not get something, and so on? So just write down a few questions that you would ask, something that really matters to you. Actually, I was just developing and thinking of the questions just from my head. Know the questions well, of course, because at the interview, when you're stressed, you will simply forget everything. So make some notes, leave it somewhere, and then come back to it once needed. Notes really would save the day. Sure. Okay. So imagine that the interview is already taking place in a minute, and it will start just as it starts, as it has started for us. And you'll have to start with a small talk. And here is the recruiter who says, "Hey, my name is Kate. How are you? And now it's your time and your turn to answer." So what would be the first phrases that you say to the recruiter once the interview has started? Would you please write it in the chat? Just the first phrase.
I have no ideas.
That's important because I know that once we have the interview, you think that you are checked for hard skills. There are your technical skills, the project that you managed dealing with, technologies that you worked with, but not only. People are always interested in working with people and to be finding a particular person to their team. And of course, they want someone who would be communicative, who would be talking to the teammates, who wouldn't be afraid of asking questions, who wouldn't be afraid of talking. And how can you say that you're not afraid of asking questions if you're afraid of talking?
Good morning, nice to meet you. We have
Okay,
live chat.
that's a good start. Okay. So, there are the phrases that are most commonly used for saying, "Oh, okay, a very interesting question to you," with options A or B. Nice to meet you. How would you answer? Option A, you too. Option B, me too. Which one is right? A or B? Where A is you too, B is me too. Nice to meet you. How would you answer?
A. I just telling the what I see in my chat.
Okay.
A, B, again A, again B.
So okay, this is the time, guys. This is the time when we remember that for the question, nice to meet you, we always answer you too, because it's nice to meet you too. Yeah. For this reason, we answer you too. And when you say me too, for a native speaker, it would be like, what would it mean? So this would be like the first like minus for your English, a tiny one, but still we have what we have. So saying nice to meet you, you answer you too, because nice to meet you too. And let's move on now. So nice to meet you too, or you too. Thanks for inviting me. It's a good thing to say after you say like nice to meet you too. I'd say thanks for inviting me, or I'm very excited to get this opportunity. There is a typo in here because it has to be I've heard, but whatever, you understand, there is a typo. I've heard a lot about your company. I'm very grateful for this chance. How are you? Saying that would be good as well. And then how are you? How are the things? Great, fine, good, and you? And if you see that you are still waiting for some other people to join, that might happen, maybe not during the first interview, but during the second interview, when you're just waiting for the technical lead or someone else to join, and you just keep quiet, and those minutes feel as if they are like hours. You can always ask something about the weather. It is sarcastic, and it just happens every time. So what's the weather like in your city, country, wherever the person is? You can also ask like, where are you located? It is okay as well to say, wow, that's great. And what's the weather like in there? Like in Ukraine, it's snowy right now, and we have some people from Spain working, and we've had some interviews with people from Spain, and they're like, oh, it's like quite sunny. Or at the same time, my IT company is an Israeli company, so it's quite sunny in there as well. And the people who live in there, they just really don't see much snow. So sometimes I just pick up my laptop and I just show the snow outside, and they're like, wow, why not? Don't be afraid of talking. Those people on the other side, they're just as alive people as you are. Where are you currently located? Yeah, how festive is your city? Like if the city and if the country is celebrating Christmas and so on, so it might be festive. I very often take a quick look at a wallpaper, because people very often have wallpapers like a Zoom wallpaper. So sometimes the wallpapers are very nice, so we can communicate about it for like a minute or two. And if I see a cup of something, and or the people or the person is drinking something, I always ask like, well, what do you prefer? Is it tea or coffee? How do you like it? And then you can say, I don't drink much coffee because like I have a headache afterwards. Or you can say, I don't drink tea because I simply don't like the taste. So the conversation might get some sort of development because of that. It might get useful in case you're waiting for someone who is joining the call any minute and you still have to talk. However, you would show that you are communicative, and that would be a huge plus for you as a personality type. And of course, that you're not afraid of talking. This is another plus for your English, because the person is not afraid of talking, even though you might make some mistakes. They're minor, and still the recruiter is easily communicating with you. Why not? That's awesome. Yeah, the interviewer is saying, let us begin the interview. We're answering with like, of course, sure, absolutely, with pleasure, greatly, gladly, and certainly. Just answer every time someone is talking to you. Answer, please. These are the phrases you may use, except of okay. Yeah, okay is still okay, but there are tons of other phrases that you can be using. So there go the 8 common interview questions. Since I've been working in IT like for more than, wow, it's now around like 12 years already. I have had so many interviews in different companies, different countries and locations, headquarters, different people. There are no like 8 interview questions that you learn the answers to succeed, unfortunately. However, there are like very common questions that if you know the answers to, you can answer to some other questions with these answers as well. This is why I decided to pick these. Some of them are very standard, but I'm not quite sure everyone answers them clearly right. So a very standard thing is a tell about yourself thing. Well, many of the interviewers just say, okay, so let us start with you. Would you tell a few words about yourself? What would you respond to this question? I do hope that it wouldn't be your story from the school years, only if it's about IT or only if it's like the related stories. I do hope that it wouldn't be the story of your previous work, of your previous job, if you are a switcher, because many people are right now switching to IT even though they haven't worked with IT yet. So there is no sense in telling like how many years you have been a dentist and how did you manage. It doesn't have to be based on the jokes like, okay, what can I tell? There is nothing to tell. So, well, I'm John. No, this is a very simple question. And if you do not have a particular answer to the simplest question, what is the sense of moving on then? So it means that the person hasn't even had a chance or motivation or desire or whatever to get ready with the simplest question. So if I were you, I would say about the last workplace, if any, or what I have learned, what's my name, what I have learned, what do I know, what do I know, what do I want to do, what do I like about like IT development, technology, which courses I have completed, when in particular, how soon am I getting the certificate. Very often I advise to have 3 most important things that you want the recruiter to know about you. Whatever it is, but the 3 most important things that you want them to tell, that you want to tell them at the very first interview. This is the time. So do not say that there is nothing to tell about, because there is no sense in moving on with the interview then. Tell them just a few facts about yourself. If you have just graduated, but you already have like 2 years of non-commercial experience with technologies, you had, this is what you have to tell about. If there is nothing to tell about, like, come on, why are we doing that? Yeah. The main question, as I said, is the specific. Is everything fine? Do you hear me well?
No, yes, but I guess you can repeat once again the phrase about if you don't have a commercial experience, what should you tell about?
Okay. I said, what did I say? Oh yeah. I said that even if you do not have a commercial experience, but you still have some projects that you have done. You still have the technologies that you looked through, that you've learned, and so on. You have to be telling it out loud. Then you have to be telling that the trainer has had a commercial experience, the one who was teaching you, your mentor. And it was telling you a lot about how does it work in bigger or smaller companies, how to implement it, and so on. And you should say that you know a lot about it and about the technology that you've been learning, and you are really eager very much to try it on the commercial level. That would basically save the day. But if you say, but I have no commercial experience with blah, 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 and then you say nothing, the only thing that the recruiter would remember is that you do not have the commercial experience. Make sure that the recruiter remembers that you are eager to get the commercial experience and that you know that you know how it works because like the manager told you or the trainer or he was telling you how it works in bigger, smaller companies, and you really are very much interested in implementing it. That would be the answer. And that's what the recruiter has to remember about you. All right. Yeah. And what were the responsibilities that you are in your previous project? There were some phrases in here. I just didn't want to stop in here like for a really long time. But the responsibilities are in here. Here are the very interesting words like I dealt with, the phrases, or together with the team. I was in charge of what else? Part in handling and so on. Yes.
Sorry, we have to start this part from the very beginning.
Okay. So with this slide, I didn't want to stop in here for a very long time. However, if you have had some experience in your previous workplace, there were just phrases that you can be using to explain, like I dealt with, I was responsible for, I was in charge of. We thought of the best ways to deal with each task. What else? I took part in, here it is. I was also handling. So just the phrases that would help you start talking about your experience, not to be saying just in the same words. Once you get the presentation, just save it for yourself. A question that not everyone for sure throughout what I've heard is answering right is, why are you changing job? It is easy to understand why the person is looking for the first job, because like we can always say that, well, I'm ready, I want to get some real commercial experience, I want to learn, and that would be enough. But for those changing the job is a good question, taking into account the fact that you have just told about your past project and what you did in there. The next question would be, okay, so if everything was that interesting, that nice, and the team, you had a good team, so why are you changing your job then? What do you guys think is the main reason why people change jobs? The main reason, like in one word. What do you think is the main reason why people change jobs?
They want more money and professional development. Probably money, low salary, money, no new perspective, salary. Mostly everyone is focused on salary.
Okay.
Boring.
There.
One more.
Huh?
One more comment is that previous job is boring.
Oh, interesting. I do hope you wouldn't say that. Look, speaking of money, when I interview people and I interview my company, I interview the project managers and the delivery managers and who else do I interview? Well, like those who are at C-level, I do interview them. And I understand the people who say, like, I just decided that I need more money. But my question then would be, why did not you get more money in your previous place? Or if you'd say, like, it was boring, okay, then whose responsibility was it to make it, like, funnier? If you say needed development, okay, what did you do to get development in your previous workplace? Like, each recruiter wants to make sure that you would not be changing jobs when they hire you once you don't like something. And you have to understand it. Every time you pass the interview, you have to be saying something that would make sure that you wouldn't be changing this job once there is something that goes wrong and you decide like, okay, this is not interesting, or this is not the technology I want. If this is not the technology you want to deal with, then you have the HRs, then you have the teams, then you can be allocated to another project, or you can write a development plan. So when you say that there is something, or there was something wrong with the previous project, you have to make sure that you did at least something to make it right at the previous project. Because if not, then you will simply do the same thing with this job as well. And that's what recruiter would think. So yes, many people change jobs because they want more money. Sometimes it really happens so that in a particular company, the budget for such a specialist is quite low and you have to be looking for something else. And why would I tell lies if this is what it is? And you can answer like that only in combination with something else. Only in combination with like lack of development and less tasks right now you have in your project, or anything else is going on except of money, because you were actually offer and you're accepting the offer, you was probably talking about money. You and you
Okay,
talking about
sorry again about the offer again, because I had troubles.
yeah, unfortunately. Okay. So when you were accepting the offer in your previous workplace, you most probably were agreeing to a specific sum of money. If in half a year this specific sum of money is not a good sum of money for you, then why did you agree on that? That would be the question of any recruiter. If they don't ask it out loud, they would just think like, not good. So I really hope if something like that here is that you have much more responsibilities and nobody cares about like giving you any pay rise, and that would be a reason. And only like that. But if not, if you have been working in a company, let's say for a year, and it's now a time for appraisals, and your company says, okay, for us it's quite a tough time, and we will not be able to give you more money, and you are leaving for this reason. Well, the situation in the world right now is like that. So any other company would say just like that. And maybe the company that is hiring you right now is saying this to their employees as well. And if you say that, they would understand that you are not their person. So the money issues is a very respectable course, but you have to be, it's tricky. It's really tricky. You have to be like very clear with what you're saying. And if you really want to say that, so I would give some more words about why I'm leaving, and then I would say, and yeah, some money issue, like lots of people were fired, the project is being closed, we already have released and there is no needing the developer like me, and so on. And then tell about money, because only money, we never know how it works. Some examples of accepted money answers: I want more responsibilities in development, New technologies, salary issues, yes, then you can say that like make sure that something goes before. I want to work with bigger or smaller companies, but please mind the company that you're talking to. Because for instance, that was the reason why I was leaving was the company. When I was working at ECAM, I worked there for like almost 5 years. And I was leaving for some smaller company, and that's what I was saying. Like, I just want to try working in a smaller company with less bureaucracy, with smaller hierarchy, and that's it. Because just I feel like I want to see how it goes, really how it goes in different types of companies. So like saying that, I have to make sure that this is the company that you're now talking to is either big or small, depending on what you've said. I want to work online or offline. Many people are now looking for the online jobs, and if the company, the current company, doesn't give you such an opportunity, of course you can say that unfortunately I can't work offline, so I have to be looking for another job. Here are some more things that you can learn here out of the sentences and out of the why am I leaving the job. Just I wouldn't stop here. You can take a look at it afterwards. Some people say I want new challenges. Like again, it could be either bad or good, because I would ask, oh my God, you haven't had any challenges in your previous workplace? What were you doing then? If you had no challenges at all, like what were you doing? So that's my question most usually. If people say that like they want more challenges. These jobs seemed like an excellent match for my experience and skills. You can say that if you do remember the job description, because after that, most probably you would be asked, oh, that's interesting. Would you tell me about it? And then you will have to match the job description and your knowledge. So make sure you know how to do it. Actually, oh yeah, like good things in here. Just take a look. We would not stop on that for so much time. A very good question. Do you have any experience in whatever goes afterwards? And as we said with English, let's say that you haven't had any experience with that. As I said, just think of something just like that, some experience that might be alike, something that you read about, learned, some experience that is very close, but not exactly something that is being asked. Make sure that you show that you are ready to learn it, that you understand it, that you know where to find it, you would like, this would be the first thing to read about, and so on. So make sure that the recruiter, even if you haven't had such an experience, would remember that you are very interested in it, you have read about it, and you want to develop it, and you are really eager to do it. On the other hand, please don't forget to highlight what you know, what you're good at, end up with your willingness, okay, to learn and perform. But even if you don't know something and you have never had experience with it, you can say that you know how vital it is, and like, as I said, you'll be learning, and you're a very quick learner. You know this, and this will help you in like achieving this goal. Yeah. Very often, if let's say an interview is in English, and you just don't remember a word, I don't know, you got stuck with a word or phrase, and it's in time, and let's say I'm a recruiter, I have asked you something, and you go like, and that was not my Starlink pausing us, it was just your thinking. Then the recruiter might be like, okay, I just don't understand. Are they thinking, or they haven't heard what I have asked, or should I repeat? So in any awkward situation, if you just need to think, then take a pause, and think. Like, it's okay to think, and you would get some time for that. Most usually, if I have to think, and sometimes there is a tricky question, and I really need to think how to answer, I would go like, okay, that's a good question. Let me think. And then I pause for like a few seconds, and then I answer. But if you don't say that out loud, that you're thinking, what would the interviewer then think? That you are a pretty awkward person, that the recruiter doesn't understand what is going on. And if someone doesn't understand what is going on, they just don't like what is going on, and that's it. But we don't want any recruiter not to like the interview with you. So move on with at least saying something like, let me think, wow, that's a good one, or that's a good question. Please give me a second to collect my thoughts. Give me a second to think, and so on. Say something that you are thinking. If you do not need to collect your thoughts for such a long time, you can go on with like simple phrases like, well, okay, that is a good question. So I do believe that, and then you go with the answer. But you have just heard me say like, I don't know, 10 words that gave me about 10 seconds at least to think what would I answer by saying nothing. At least I was not quiet. Yeah, and then you can just go on with like, actually, basically, let me frame out my mind, and so on. So say something, please say something, say the words, I mean, that you are thinking. It's fine, everyone understands it, but don't take much time. You know how to answer if you do not have a relevant experience. You already know how to answer. Just make sure this answer is ready beforehand. Yeah. A question that would be asked for sure, and I asked you to think about it, even if you're in your native language if needed. What project or job are you looking for right now? Why would the recruiter ask that? Why would they care? That's easy. Because the pain of each recruiter is looking for the same people all the time. When people are changing or switching jobs and leaving for another jobs, it means that something is going absolutely wrong inside the company, either with the recruitment or with human resources. So each recruiter wants to make sure that the person who we are hiring right now would be working for a company for quite a long time. So they want to make sure that what you are looking for is something that we are able to provide. What job are you looking for? And this is what I have had like so many times already. Let's say for some of the projects, for my IT company, we're not looking for the people strictly in Kiev, because here we have an office and the generator and Starlink, we're autonomous. We have gas in here, we have everything in here that is needed for work. And this is what we write in our job descriptions, Kiev only, for the reason that this is the only place in Ukraine I can guarantee my people can work from. And there are some projects that really want this guarantee, whatever. And then we have some interviews, and somewhere in the end, people say, "But I will work remotely, right?" And this is when I understand that the recruiter hasn't asked a very simple question: "What are you looking for?" Then people would answer like, "I'm looking for a job of a Java developer. I want to work remotely. I want to get insurance, and I want to have like a big and nice multicultural team." Then the recruiter simply thinks and matches whether they can provide you with this. And this is the most important stage for you to understand what you want and to understand yeah, well, what do you want to get right now out of this job? Yeah. There are two types of answers to this question. First answer is, just as I said, something that is your dream job and the way you see it, and you can describe it to the recruiter. And then hope whether it matches to the project that you're being interviewed right now. Or you can read about the company, you can read about the team, whatever you find online, in LinkedIn. Some of the companies have even their Instagram accounts. So you can then say that this is something you want. So you have read that there are like small teams, or you know that this is an interesting project that deals with, I don't know, whatever, marketplaces, and you're like, oh, I want to get a job in a project that deals with marketplaces, because either I haven't worked with this field and I'm just really interested in how it works, or I have read a lot about it and I really think that it is interesting. Or you know that these projects work in a hybrid model or in remote. This is what you say then. Or you know that they provide insurance or not. Or you know what kind of holidays they have. Or you know some other benefits, and you say, okay, this, and I also want, like, would love to have some sort of benefits like this. So you either tailor this answer to your particular needs, or you tailor it to the project and to something that you know already about the company and the project. It's all up to you. Both ways might work. An interesting one. Where do you see yourself? I just wrote 5 years, but then I decided, okay, let's not make it as complicated. So I wrote 3. Where do you see yourself in 3 or 5 years? Do you know why is this question actually asked? What is the reason? What does the recruiter want to hear from you? Just think about it. If anyone knows, let me know in chat. Like, why do they keep asking this question? What do they want to hear? Taking the situation in my country into account, I have no idea what I would be doing in 5 years, let's say.
This is not the worst answer, I guess. Sorry. To see if the answer matches with the last questions, will you stay in this company for a long time or not?
Yeah, good one. Good one. Basically, yes. The worst answer would be, I don't know. The second worst answer I have added, like, after one of the interviews that I had, when the guy said, well, I'd become the CEO of this company in 5 years. I was like, okay, now I have the second worst answer. Saying I don't know, as I said, to any question is not a good thing. Basically, here you have to describe how you see your development plan, because no company wants to get the person on board that is not going to develop. Because the company is going to pay you the money, they're going to give you lots of benefits, they're going to teach you, and if you are not going to develop, why would they do that? Which technologies you're planning to learn, at least your current plan. What is the current plan? If the question says, what are you going to do in 5 years, and you really don't want to answer it because you think that it's an obligation, and there are some people like that, just say, well, 5 years is quite too much. I have a plan for 3 years. Let's say that's an answer as well. Yeah. Of course, every recruiter wants to understand whether you'll be working here for a long time. They want to hear that you are going to start working here as a junior, and you really want to grow in this company, and you really want to contribute to this company for many, many years to go. And that's what they want to hear. That's easy and that's simple. Someone was really right about it. Since I'm now applying for a junior QA position, in 5 years, I'll be switching to automation. I guess I will know the project needs, the management, and the team well. So it would help me to choose to learn Java or Python, and I'll be growing to senior, I suppose. This answer says everything. It says that you are going to grow and develop. It says that you are going to make friends and to be a communicative person within the teams. It is saying that you will actually consider what is needed in the company and in the project before thinking how to grow. Yeah, it says that you're going to grow within the company. So this would be an ideal answer, of course. As I usually say, well, no one will know how you would grow in 5 years, well, in real life. And no one will call you in 5 years to compare. So this is something that you plan right now. And your plan can be as awesome as you want it to be. So think where you see yourself. It's fine. And no one will tell you like, okay, you told the lies because in 5 years you're still not a senior, you're in middle. So how could you? No, nothing like that would happen. So just think what you think it would happen, and where you would grow and where you would love to grow, and make sure that you say that you would really love to grow inside one company, dealing with the same people, making friends with them, and that you would consider the company and the company needs before planning to grow in 5 years. Okay. Strong and weak sides. Do you guys all know your strong and weak sides? Like, if I ask you to say 3 of those and 3 of those, would you say it out loud? Just tell yes or no. Strong and weak sides. Do you know them? Yes or no? And well, okay, not only no, but are you ready to tell those things out loud to a stranger? Because I'm a stranger. So are you ready to tell it to a stranger?
No idea. No, from the live chat.
Yeah, cool. So how, guys, are you going to develop yourself if you don't know the weak sides that you have to develop? Don't answer that. That's just a tricky question that has to make you think more. But actually, like, the weak sides are those that give us the biggest opportunity for development. So if you do not know your weak sides, then you most probably do not know where to develop. But if you do know where do you want to develop yourself, then you know your weak sides, right? Just think of that as simple logic. Okay, but if you still don't, I usually take a successful story. I usually take a success story, any story of yours, not only technical, of course. And most probably now it's quite a time to ask you another question about soft and hard skills. Because it's going to be about it as well. So a simple question to you: do you know the difference between soft and hard skills? Yes or no? And then I will know how to move on.
Yes, I see yes. Yes, mostly.
Mostly yes, great. So your weak sides might be the sides not only of the hard skills, but also the soft skills, and mainly soft skills, right? We're going to talk about what is more important, just to be clear, if we get enough time. But we have what we have right now. After the webinar, think of the success story, because you're going to highlight it to the recruiter, and it's better for you to think of how would you highlight it from the good or bad side. How would you cover it? What do you want to tell in details or not? So I have written down a success story in here that I'm going to read to you, or you can read it by yourself. And then we will think whether it is a success story or not really. When I started working at YZX, I realized that my responsibilities were much broader than I expected. So decided to take up this challenge and grow. This shows me there are no boundaries. If you choose to grow, do whatever is needed and leap at the opportunity. But if you want simple existence with no turbulence, you will never find a chance to grow and develop. So we can take a look at the story once again before we move on. This is something that I have heard like 4 or 5 years ago from a guy, and I was really thinking hard. What might it mean to me? And now I will share my ideas. So what do you think? Is it a success story or no? Yes or no? When I started working at blah blah company, I realized that my responsibilities were much broader than I expected. So I decided to take up this challenge and grow. This shows me there are no boundaries. If you choose to grow, do whatever is needed to leap at the opportunity. Is it a success story or not? Yes or no?
I see, yes, but I'm not sure if it's related to this question or previous one, because I have no like timings on this question.
Oh, okay.
Like I can share my experience. I don't think this is a good success story because I don't see any achievements actually mentioned in it.
Yeah, like what do I see from here? Like if I really try hard, let's say, and put myself into the that person's shoes and try hard, then I would most probably think of, okay, what strong sides did he want to show me here, right? What are the strengths in here? So maybe he was very self-motivated and he saw some opportunities, and he really thought, okay, this is a great chance for me to develop, and then he became a much better developer or manager, or I don't know, QA, whatever. Maybe it's about him being dynamic and doing much more than he was thinking he would do, or that's about him being loyal, working for a company that promised him one responsibilities and then gave him, well, the other responsibilities. He was decisive to take up this challenge, or he was ambitious, or he was focused on the result. Maybe he was eager to learn or develop, or very result-oriented, enthusiastic, like, I don't know. This is just my thinking once putting myself in his shoes. But since he didn't tell the results, since he didn't tell what in particular does he think his strength is, then it leaves me with nothing. So I, as a recruiter, would ask like, okay, so what is your strength then, or what is your plus side, whatever. And if the person would not be ready to this question, the person would not be ready to answer. So I have to be ready to answer. And since you have to tell about your strong sides, you have to be telling particularly what strong sides do you have. And then highlight them with like some life story. You can always say that you are a very loyal person, and if you see that a lot of effort is being put into you and into your development, then you just give it back with your loyalty and contribution, constant contribution. You can also say that you are very self-motivated, that you are very result-motivated because you really want to do everything needed to get things done. And in here, you should have put somewhere the adjective of yours to prove that this is something good to you. These good sides are quite good. I remember me at my first during my first interviews, I was saying something like, I'm very, yeah, I said that I'm very tactful. I don't know why, but I said that I'm really very much tactful and self-motivated. And then at work, like in some 3 months, when I was having an argument with someone from out of my colleagues, I was like, okay, so now I'm really not tactful and I'm really not result oriented because I said I was self-motivated. I really was not self-motivated because I need something to motivate me. It's not only me existing in this world and in this team. So there is something else that motivates me. It's either the result or recognition or something else. So I understood that what I was saying about myself was not true at all. It comes with time, but at least now you have to think of something. And once you are thinking of something, pick the specific adjectives for the recruiter to hear them, actually. How about weaknesses? What are the weak sides or the weaknesses that you see here? If this was the answer to the question about the weak sides. Like, started working, realized my responsibilities were much broader than expected, but I decided to leap at this opportunity and still work there. And if I'm telling it like that, most probably you understood what the weaknesses that I'm talking about. So the drawbacks of the story and the entire story, let's say, there was no work time balance, work life balance, whatever. Like, it was full of stress. If the person took all the responsibilities that he had to, even though it was not discussed with the person before, most probably the person would get professional burnout very quickly. Why would he do that? Why wouldn't he say no? Actually, it's a good thing, and it's quite a senior thing to be able to say no to something. Why wouldn't they say no? It might also show that the person is going with the flow, just something is going on, and I'm okay with that. If you want to give me more responsibility, just do it. So it might also show that the person is simply going with the flow, which is not a good thing. It also shows the person is an indecisive one because couldn't say no, or impulsive because said yes, like, okay, give me more. So it is being impulsive, which could be shown from both sides, like good or bad thing as well. What I mean, you decide what you tell about your strengths and weaknesses. You decide each story, how do you show, and from which angle do you show the story. You can tell a story and say, okay, I do believe that it could be, my weak side could be this, but at the same time, the strength is this that covers it. We all have the weak sides, sure we do. And the interviewer as well, and the speaker as well, and like whatever, all the friends of yours would have some weak sides. Why are they asking us about it? Also because of the emotional intelligence that we have. Because the recruiter wants to hear whether the person is mature and whether the person has some sense of self-awareness. And if you say, I don't know what my strong sides are, like, I don't know, it means that you are not self-aware. You do not know these things about yourself. You haven't even been thinking about yourself. It means you don't know yourself. How can they trust you and work with you even if you don't know you? So self-awareness is quite a mature thing. So think of the strengths and weaknesses. The worst thing that might happen is that the recruiter would simply think, okay, this the person was ready to this question, so they wrote some answer and they learned this answer by heart, which is okay, because it would mean that you actually were preparing and getting ready to the interview. That's better than you say, oh, I don't know. Okay. The only thing I'm asking you to do is make sure that you cover your weaknesses with the strengths cards, okay? Because if you say, well, okay, my weaknesses, I'm like always running late, I didn't like talking with the people, and I really didn't like to work, but I need some money, like, why would we move on then? But if you say that really an old person and you more often work at night, but you understand that like the project need is working from like 9 a.m. You can say it is a challenge for me, and I know that, but I can manage. I know why I'm doing it, and I know what am I doing, and it's fine. I will manage. So this is my weak side. I really don't like waking up early in the morning. This is something I have to like work on. That's my responsibility, and it's fine then. And here I was rewriting it for all of us. Just the same story. I'm a bit impulsive and sometimes I can't say no. So I looked at the opportunity and took over much more responsibilities than I agreed to. My whole life was a mess with no work-life balance, sorry, and no time to understand what I want. However, I grew significantly as a developer, and now I understand there were some other ways to do it. And then you move on like with, I wouldn't like to have such a story again in my life. I have passed through it, I have survived, and I don't want to do it anymore. But I have had a story, and I have had a moment in my life when I was very impulsive and I wouldn't say no. And now I've learned from it. This is what you can answer in such a situation. So yeah, just pick a situation that you can show from both sides, highlight the weaknesses, and now your strengths saves your ass, and that's fine. That would be the answer, and it would show that you're self-aware, you know and understand yourself, you know how to make decisions afterwards, you can change afterwards. It means you can get developed. It means that you're a mature person. That's what the recruiter wants to hear. And now we need to be thinking of the communication breakdowns at work and how did you manage it? This is another question that deals with soft skills. Communication breakdowns at work. Sometimes the question goes like, describe a situation when your boss or team lead was unhappy with your task. Describe the situation. It could go like that, but again, you can show it from the communication breakdown angle, that actually you did fine, but you did not, I don't know, close the ticket. So something like that, I would say. Okay. Yeah, and a question to you. Have you guys had communication breakdown at work or during your studies if you are now applying for your first job? I need some help with the answers. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I don't see answers. Like, I guess we should just move on.
No, okay. Okay, I see.
Oh, I see one. Yes, a lot of.
Oh, a lot of, okay. A lot of means a lot. I can tell you why I think so, because when the person answers like, well, no, I have never had any communication breakdowns at work. It means a few things. It means that the person is either a liar or is not self-aware and is not and has a huge lack of soft skills, that the person didn't even understand that they had a communication breakdown and didn't remember it, or it's a very, very junior employee that hasn't had anything like that because they just didn't have any work experience. Never happened. Let's say you say that it never happened. As I said, it could only happen to juniors or to those who are not mature enough to understand that they had some communication breakdowns. Here are the possible answers. Like, well, it has never happened to me. My colleagues were very communicative people. Nothing like that happened. However, I believe that communication and being a responsible person matter here. It would show that you don't say simply no, or I don't know, as I said, is not an option. That you don't say simply no, but you give an open answer and you think of it. So just your thinking is a good thing to show in here. I mean, if you do not hear something, ask again. Find a person who can help you, or ask a mentor or a teammate. It's your task to get it done. So, like, you're responsible for your work. And this is something that you can say or add, taking the communication breakdown into account. But again, if you have had at least one job, or if you're attentive to the people you work with, you should have had some communication breakdowns, because it happens like every time and everywhere. Pay attention to it. Situation 2. Yes, I remember. Yes, it might happen. Of course, someone might have misunderstood or didn't hear something. It might also happen because of personal issues at home, or any other reason, like people related issues. We don't know. I remember the communication breakdown that happened last year with a colleague. But after additional discussion, we understood that what went wrong and we changed it. And now we know how not to deal with any communication breakdowns. These were like the main 8 questions. I now want to ask you whether any of you, at least some of you, were stressed before the interview, and do you know any tricks of how to avoid stress before the interview? Like, let's answer the question of stress. Have you been stressed before the interview? I mean, like, when the interview starts, you start breathing very very heavily, and you feel like your heart rate is like overreacting. Have you had such a situation?
Oh, well, I'm sure that everyone does, because we had a lot of questions in our Google form from the participants about how to manage the stress before the interview. Yes, and
Yeah,
we'll have
and
the answers in the live chat now.
yeah, it's really just a stressful situation, because this is the way we are made by the nature. When something that we don't know is going to happen, we feel huge stress. Tons of adrenaline is like moving within our veins, and it's like simply bombing our heart rate, and it starts like the acceleration speed. What the specialists say we have to do with that. First of all, if it's because of English, and that's when I'm a specialist, if it's because of English and you know it's because of English and you really do not think that you're ready, no. Except of taking classes. You have to like your English. You have to like your voice that speaks English. You have to look at the mirror and answer the questions and listen to yourself. You have to get used to your voice. Your ears have to get used to what they hear. Because if there is something new that we hear, and in addition we produce it, the organism says, oh my God, what is going on? And your body says, damn. So not to keep it happening, your ears, your head, your brain has to understand that this is simply me speaking English. And you don't have to be stressed about that. To make it happen, you need some English course or the teacher that tells you, okay, here you go. And you say very correctly, here are some mistakes we're going to manage and go through it. And then during the interview, you will not have such a stressful feeling that something is going very wrong, very much wrong, and that you have to save yourself. Many specialists say that if you are before the interview, it's just like a minute before, and you know that you are nervous and stressed already, you can simply imagine 4 dots in front of you in the shape of square like this, and you simply breathe in, inhale, and you count. I see that I'm unstable. Is the connection fine?
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay, good. So you simply take a look at those 4 dots while you inhale, and you inhale counting those 4 dots. And you go like 1, 2, 3, 4 when you inhale, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 when you exhale. And it could go on like 4 or 6 times just to get you into the regular speed of breathing. The nature of our stress is taking roots from like many thousand years ago. Imagine a zebra that is like somewhere in Africa, eating grass, feeding herself, and then she hears some predator, let's say a lion that is coming. What is going on with zebra at that particular moment? Her heart rate becomes like very, very high, and zebra stops eating, and the only... Did you hear me well, guys? Yeah? No?
Yes, go on.
Okay, thank you. Because now I think that you don't hear me every other time. So once something like that happens and zebra hears that someone is approaching, she thinks it's a predator, she stops eating and she runs away as fast as she can. Her breathes and inhale and exhale stuff is coming very, very, very like quick, becoming very quick. And her heart rate is very fast, so she's just running away, and that's how her body shows and her brain shows that she's in stress. At the same time, when she stops, because no one is chasing her right now, what happens to her? What does she start doing? And the very first thing, what do you think zebra starts doing when she is not running away from the lion? The very first thing that she does. What does she do? So she survived. Now what she does? There's no hiding. They don't know how to hide. Any ideas?
Not yet. I guess we have a little delay in our live chat, so it's
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So she has just survived. She could have died, but now no one is chasing her. I don't know. The lion has caught someone else. So the very first thing that zebra does actually is eating. So she stops and she moves on with eating because like this is what they do. They eat. Like they go from here to there and they eat. So for this reason, many specialists say that simply having a cup of tea right before the interview and at the time of interview, but then you have to ask like, do you mind if I drink tea? Would make your brain understand that there is that it's safe. It is safe. We don't have to run. We don't have to save ourselves. It's okay in here. I can eat or I can drink. So my body understands that it's safe. When I started holding like trainings and webinars, and I once had a huge training with like more than 2,000 people in it. What I did before the training was the fact that I went to the scene and I took a cup of tea with me, and I was just standing there drinking tea and making sure that I remember it like that I'm standing in here and there is nothing to be afraid. I'm just here, I'm drinking tea, I'm making sure my brain understands it's safe. I'm making sure I understand it's safe. And this actually helps. The other thing that you don't have to be drinking coffee because you might get accelerated heartbeat because of coffee, but simply tea works fine in here. So if you want to get ready to an interview and you have already practiced your English and you have already like had some classes with the teacher, like a few at least, to make sure what you're saying is good enough, then go to Zoom. Open Zoom link, any Zoom link, empty Zoom link, and see yourself in there. Answer those questions to yourself. Listen to yourself. Understand that it's not as bad. It's just a Zoom link. Drink some tea. I know. Eat a bun or whatever you like eating in front of the Zoom. So just do it and make sure you just don't have that much stress afterwards. Like once you do it again, once you open your Zoom link and then you see a person in there. Speaking of the teachers who like teach online, it's easy to do it because of the teachers who teach online. And when you would be answering those questions to a teacher, you'd see what in particular makes you uncomfortable. If it's English, then the teacher would help you with that. But if it's not English, if it's just you being nervous about doing something for the very first time in your life, or second time or third time, and trust me, guys, you would be afraid in 10 times as well. Just make sure that you've done everything to show yourself. There is nothing so stressful in there. Turn on the Zoom link, drink some tea, make some deep inhales and exhales, and there is no lion in there. No one is going to grab you and eat you. And the other thing that I ask myself, that I used to ask myself, what is the worst thing that is going to happen to me right now? Like, well, here goes the interview. What is the worst thing that could happen to me right now? The worst thing. Well, I would not get this job. Okay, I would get some other job. but like the worst thing that could happen to you if you fail that interview. So there is nothing to be afraid of. Like, well, if there is anything that I don't know about, just let me know. But there actually is nothing to be afraid of that much. You just need to get ready with if you need some English help, we can get you ready to the interviews or to working with English speaking teams. If you need some help of another, let's say, another type, and you just are afraid of these things, I have given you some tips. Those 4 dots and inhales and exhales, it works perfectly well. Drinking some tea, even during the interview helps. Don't drink coffee, only if it's the first coffee during this day, okay? And what could be the worst thing happening to you? Nothing, no one will eat you. I think that is it from my side. Any other questions?
First of all, I want to thank you for this full introduction to passing the job interviews in English and such a great presentation and encouraging one, actually. We have some questions in our Google form, but guys who are listening, you still have a chance to ask something in our live chat if you want. And we will start with the questions we already have. The first one is, which is the best applications for learning English? This is a question about Android applications, but...
Applications.
Yes. Does it help?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, the first thing I would ask you would be, what for? What for do you need the applications? There are tons of them, like Elena or Duolingo, like millions of applications to learn English that you can find simply typing English learning app in Google. The question, what for? If you need English to produce English, to speak English, you need to train to speak English. So you can't learn to speak English without speaking, actually. You learn words in an app, you might learn some words that would stay in your passive vocabulary somewhere in your head for some more time when you're learning, but it wouldn't teach you to say those words out loud. It wouldn't teach you to understand in which situation are these or those words in particular needed and efficient and so on. It wouldn't teach you that. It would only teach you to use, to know, no, not even use, but to know some words for some period of time. But if not using them, they go to your passive vocabulary and then they just get lost in your passive vocabulary and say bye-bye to those 4 months that you have spent with an app. So if you need an app and you just want to do something with an app, just Google it. Millions of them, starting with Duolingo for the beginners. But if you want to speak English, it would not help you to speak English. It really would not. I've been teaching English for like, I don't know, 15 years already. There is no magic wand. There is no magic pill. If you want to speak, you have to speak. If you want to read, you have to read. If you want to listen, you know what you have to do. You have to listen. So no app will tell you whether you are answering right or not as good as the teachers do. And only the teacher understands, okay, now it's quite a time for you to have some like reading activities, or okay, now we have a huge lack of listening, or now we have this or that. Yeah, you can play with the apps for sure, but speaking would be possible only if you speak with someone.
Okay, thanks a lot. The next question is if there are there is some English level that is required for interview for the
Good
company.
one. Good one. Yeah. Actually, all the international companies require a B2 level of English, that is upper intermediate. The people who have, let's say, okay, from my point of view, and what I've heard from people, those people who have a confident B1 and they're very good communicators. I mean, they're not afraid talking. They know they're making some mistakes, but they don't care because they want to get the job done. Those people really have a huge chance to get the job because they are huge communicators, and the interviewer and the team, they know that even though they make some mistakes, the job is still done. The tasks are still closed, and then it's fine. So B1 is an intermediate level. It is somewhere in the middle of learning. Usually a B1 learner is a person who speaks English quite regularly, makes lots of mistakes. However, the other listener would simply understand him. So those people make some minor mistakes, but a lot of them, but it doesn't affect the work. It doesn't affect the results. At the same time, if you make a lot of mistakes, but the other person cannot understand you, it means that it's not a B1 yet. Yeah. So I would say that B2 is a required level, but some people who are very communicative and who show that they are ready to grow and learn and that's what they are doing, can also apply and try B1, B1 plus, B2, and of course higher.
And the related question is, should I think a lot about grammar if someone's making mistakes?
No. No, you do not have to think a lot about grammar if your English level is a B1. Let's say if you have to think of how to make a sentence, how to form a sentence, and what goes first, a verb or a noun, and during the interview you're just sitting and like thinking, okay, so how do I start the sentence? If it's a question, okay, so if it's a WH question, how do I start it then? Then yes, of course, you have to be dealing with the elementary grammar for sure to make sure that you know to form the sentence. But if you already know it, but you still make some mistakes, just keep moving and keep talking. How do you know that? Either with a teacher who will tell you, okay, this is a B1 now, we can try. Or you can go to a few of the interviews and you'd understand whether they understand you or not. Let's say, speaking of the American market, the US market, most usually when you have passed an interview, whether it's successfully or not, you just receive an email. If it's not successful, just receive an email saying something like, thank you very much for your time. We have decided to move on with another candidate. We wish you good luck. A lot of kids and whatever. So you wouldn't get a reply that, okay, we think that your English is poor. So this is something that you have to be asking the recruiter while you're talking to them. Like, do you understand me fine? Or do you think, or what's your thinking? Do you think I have to be working on English a bit more? And they will let you know, like, oh, no, I do understand you. That's fine. Thank you for asking. Or they will tell you, yes, I do think that you have to be like dealing with your grammar a bit more. But if your level is B1 already, and during the interview, your task is not to show only your English. It's also to show your knowledge, your personality type, and lots of other stuff. Then it's not only about English. If you have an English test, that is the time to be thinking about your grammar. But if it's not your English test, but simply the interview, go on, answer the questions, do whatever you can, but don't think about grammar every other time. think about the correct answers. Think about what is being asked, not about grammar.
Yeah, and we have a question in our live chat about what is the best way to apply for a job, to go directly to the company or through the job searching websites?
Good one. Basically, they check everything. If I were you, I would do both. From my experience, I have had a few people who said that they got the reply directly from the website, but they did not get a reply from the searching websites. So if this is not a mass sending of your CV to all the companies in the world, you can pick like 10 and send the CVs both directly and in the website, search website. In addition, some companies also work with external vendors that are looking for people for this company. So if you send the CV directly to the company, it means that they get it, but we are not very much sure that they are hiring, like, let's say, in your country. But if you send the CV through the searching site website, it means that some of the vendors that are hiring for this company might pick you to hold an interview and to offer you, or some recruiting agencies could be offering you to the same company. Or this company might be not right now, let's say, hiring from your specific location, but through the vendor, you can be working for this company. So choose both if you doubt.
Okay, thank you. We have no questions left. So I
Right.
guess I'll finish. And I will repeat once more for the listeners that you will get the presentation and you will get a link to the recording tomorrow on your email. And it will also be available on this YouTube channel, so you can subscribe and listen to it. Sorry. Whatever it will be convenient for you. Kate, I thank you a lot again for this. This is really a great job, and we have gratitude in our live chat. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I wish you a nice evening. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.